does seem a little bit choppy, to be honest, from watching on Twitch.
Well, we are a podcast, so
We are.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've noticed, looking at even on the restream end, I think restream servers are being hammered, to be honest.
Shall we just restart and people have to go with it?
We don't need to
I
restart, we can
think
just
so.
start from Colin. Or just
Colin, what I'm doing this.
Yeah. So, shall we or shan't we?
YouTube saying YouTube's fine.
Okay. I'm going to start recording again.
Okay.
And I guess when we're back in, we'll kick it off again, and we just accept we have 5 frames a second or whatever.
Okay. Right. Can we Oh no, it seems to be smooth now.
Don't say that, for God's sake, Colin. We're going to go down to like 1 frame every 10 seconds again.
Okay. Okay.
Okay.
Right. We apologize for the interruption. It does seem that the Restream servers are having a little bit of trouble tonight, which is what we use to do all this wonderful techie stuff. So let's see. Where were we? Oh, yes. What I was doing this week. Well, obviously, I'm stepping back from power play for the moment until I get my triple elite. I am up to 90% deadly, so I've only got 160 scouts to go, which is great. Been playing a bit of Star Wars Squadrons last night with Ben and a friend of mine, Ralph, but more on that later. And I've been helping the Anti-Xeno initiative because I came across a Thargoid encounter I've never come across before. And it does seem that this is a new Thargoid encounter that only seems to have appeared since this CG started. If you drop into a non-signal source 4, you might be lucky enough to come across a Thargoid probe being protected by 3 scouts, and those scouts are of various types. And then scouts will just wave in and wave in and wave in for about almost 20 minutes. And it's fantastic. It's a real nice turkey shoot. You just have to make sure you're not overwhelmed. So, yes, that's been my week.
Are Canon
quite happy
investigating
about that,
by the way? Because obviously scouts
I have,
and probes do things.
it is for those who are interested. There is a video which I've passed on to the Anti-Xeno Initiative Science Department, which is practically canon anyway, and they are examining the footage to work out whether or not it is actually something new, or whether I was lucky enough to come across some new kind of bug. But from what people have been saying, this kind of scenario seems to have appeared all of a sudden out of nowhere. And I don't know whether it means they're protecting the probe. So if you interact with the probe, does that do something else? I'm going to have to wait till next time to give it a try.
It's a bit strange because if it is a new probe, you can kind of understand it. But we know what probes do, so why are they protecting it?
Exactly. I mean, I gave up and just shot the thing and scooped the bits that were left over in it. So perhaps I should have actually used my scanners
the
on it.
Captain Kirk approach.
Yes, we come in peace, shoot to kill.
Well, so Colin dropped his pants and shagged the bastard. Colin went off and probed the probe, as it were.
I thought you said you were going to stay quiet and hide in the background.
Oh, come on, when you're talking about Captain Kirking something, you know where it's going.
Yeah, but that only works if you do that to the probe when you are behind it.
Wish I hadn't seen this. Wish I hadn't said anything about Captain Kirk, because every single time I keep on thinking of Robot Chicken. Every single time he goes into Dr. McCoy and complains about his space herpes playing up. It's just... Anyway, enough of that. I mean, tonight's activity, obviously, Mac, you've got your fleet carrier around Lave at the moment, have you?
Yes, I have my green Sidewinder around the orange Sidewinder.
Oh, lovely. Lovely.
And there's nobody here. I saw Miggles log on. He's often here, but he's not actually here.
Right. At least that's...
But anyway, I'm hanging out at the Lave station, at Lave Bar, Orange Sidewinder Bar, whatever it's called.
Yeah. Well, I don't think I can actually log into the game, because otherwise I might jeopardize this network connection I've got, which I'm not going to even jinx it, but you know what I mean. So, moving on from tonight's activity, what have the devs been doing this week? Well, let's just say that because of this, the CG that started on Thursday, which they are deciding to show off how good they all are at Thargoid hunting. Now, on Thursday, Arf and Bruce was with... who were they with on that one? Is it...
They were with Down to Earth Astronomy, who showed up at the last minute.
Yeah. And they went Thargoid hunting to, not the scouts, the actual big interceptors. And I must admit, I was quite impressed with Arf being able to get a couple of them, which was good to see, with Bruce being along for moral support, which is quite good. However, on today's new catch-up stream, or Bruce and Stephen tried exactly the same thing, but this time without any support. And let's just say they weren't lacking for enthusiasm; they just didn't manage it, fortunately. But that was about it. We haven't had any more news about Discovery since then, or any news about news. So I guess it's just business as usual until the next big info drop. Anybody else see those streams?
I didn't know. Sorry, Colin.
I saw them. I thought the one with Down to Earth was good, especially because of Arf dropping in at like the last second. And I saw today's 2 o'clock one, or 3 o'clock one, whatever. I'll give them 10 out of 10 for effort.
10 of 10 out of effort.
I mean, as my teacher used to say, Ben tries hard.
That's damning with faint praise, isn't
it? C- must do better. Needs practice. which is true, actually. They were trying it. To be fair to them, they were trying it without any support. I mean, they knew what they had to do. And I must admit, I lost, I think, about 3 T10s until I actually downed my first Thargoid in a win with someone.
Yeah, I mean,
it does take a while to get the hang of it.
They were both in challengers, aren't they?
Mm-hmm.
So they're both in medium ships anyway. Nobody's in like some great big meaty tanky corvette or anything like that. It's their first time trying it without anybody holding their hand.
Yep.
And they didn't get their faces wiped. They didn't show up and die. They had a good go.
Yeah, unlike Stephen and Will, which was an absolute massacre win for the Thargoids last time round.
Did they lose ships when they tried this time?
Oh yes, they still lost ships. Although they didn't lose anywhere near as many as Stephen and Will did.
Did they? What build did they run? Because I'm just wondering, there was a build that allowed you to kill a Cyclops in under 30 seconds with a single ship.
Well, they were both flying. What were they flying? Challengers.
Stephen,
No?
I think Stephen was in a Challenger, and I know he had the remote flak launcher, and I think I saw a couple of Gauss cannons, but I don't know what else they had.
Yeah.
Yeah, because that's what you do. You can load up with Gauss cannons, engineered premium ammunition, and you just DPS the ship down really quickly.
They weren't using premium ammunition. because they didn't know how to synthesize that. They didn't think they had the materials to synthesize it, so they were doing it without.
Oh, so they did it the hard way.
Yeah, they did it. They didn't DPS it down. They were just basically trying to
They weren't cheesing it, were they?
No.
Cheesing it?
Yeah, cheesing it.
It takes quite a lot of practice. I had a lot of fights before I killed a Cyclops.
Yeah.
Once you get it, you get it, but it takes quite a lot of practice.
I've still not soloed a Cyclops.
I'll
happily go in against scouts.
Yeah,
you soloed what? Sorry, Colin?
I mean, I've soloed a Cyclops. Then I tried to solo a Basilisk, and then it can't say.
That's exactly what I did as well.
Nope.
Soloed a Cyclops, and I was like, I'm the man. When I went to try a Bazzy, and I just got chased down and blown up.
Yeah, the Cyclops, the Basilisk turned around to you and said, "Would you like your arse handed to you on a silver platter or a bronze one? Your choice." Yeah, so they gave it a good go, but unfortunately, they weren't successful that day. We do know that this stream coming on Thursday, I think Stephen said that they were going to be doing CQC. So there's a point. You can genuinely go, if you've managed to get in the same match as them, you can shoot a CM down. That will be
When
interesting.
Is
this Thursday.
I've got the day off.
So we'll move on to in-game events. Now, what has been happening in-game for this last week? Well, obviously, the systems in the Witchhead Nebula have come under Thargoid attack. This is a CG where you have to progress to defend the systems against the Thargoids. Like I said, we seem to discover that there was a new Thargoid encounter that's in there. However, there has been a bit of disappointment because we were hoping that we'd have the good old Thargoid combat zones and the encounters that go with that. But unfortunately, that hasn't happened. It is just a case of knocking down as many Thargoid scouts on Thargoid interceptors as we possibly can. Last I heard, it was at least past stage 4 and pretty close to completely managing stage 5. But like I said, I'm going to have to wait until after the show before I can go back in to see how we're doing. Is anybody else? Oh, yeah, Sue, you said you're involved in the fight against the bugs.
Yeah, I went out there with there were 3 of us on Saturday night, and we had a great time. We went out in my friend's fleet carrier. One of us was in a Crate Mark II. One of us was in a Corvette, and one of us and I was in my gunship, and it was great. We took down 6 of them, which put us in the top 25%. All Cyclopses, all pretty straightforward. We've all done it before. I think we've all managed to solo them before as well. So it was pretty. We knew what we were doing. One interesting thing is that we found that we didn't actually need to worry too much about, when you're in a wing of 3, you don't have to worry too much about the swarm. If you're soloing, the swarm is your biggest concern. If the 3 of you just take the hearts, do a bit of damage, take the heart, boost away, wait until the shield goes down, fly back in, take the next heart, and repeat. And we got it down to a fine art. But even so, like even though we were 3 experienced players flying engineered sort of late game ships, it was still really thrilling and really fun. And I was in VR with my Hot Assas, which is my dual stick plus throttle setup, and it was so good. It was just one of the best video game experiences ever, really. And although the gunship's quite slow, it was the DPS, because it's got 4 Gauss on it, 4 Gauss, 2 flak, and a heat vented beam laser, and it was just really effective and really fun.
Oh yes, Colin. Now I've got a bit of a bone to pick with you, actually.
Oh, okay.
I offered my services to you to help you reach combat elite, and I even offered you a free ride in my carrier, so you could have a nice cheap space in which to rearm and reload and repair.
Yes.
And I said, here we go. You can take it. I'll take you out to the Witch Head in my carrier, and I will bring all my ships, and I will double your kill rate. So, and I won't even kill any scouts. I'll just damage them. So all you've got to do is hit them a couple of times, and you get the kill. And no, you wouldn't take me up on it.
But Shan, all you do is talk about how you're going to lure people to their deaths in your carrier. That's literally all you do.
Yeah, but that's all I'm at. I'm actually the galaxy's most helpful player.
Sure.
Right.
Mm-hmm. Can anybody hear this? It's me stroking my beard. Actually,
I was looking forward to shooting
me down.
with
Yeah,
you.
I know. Yes, I'm sorry, Shan, but my stab-proof vest is on my back these days, so it should be fine. Kaizen has just posted a picture of a scorpion.
Honestly, I am super helpful.
Yeah,
because I helped Crash get his elite by doing the same thing a number of years ago. I navigated Ed Lewis out of the abyss when he was 60-odd thousand light years away from where I was by using trigonometry on screen. So I'm helpful. If I wanted to grease someone, don't you think I would steer Ed into a point in the abyss where he couldn't get out?
I know that you make very fine points, Shan, but you are still Shan, and we know you. We'd also like to point out, thanks to Kaizen for this, that while the CG is going on, all the AX weapons unlocks are subsidized from Bayside Landing, so that's a lot less hassle for people who want some decent anti-Xeno weapons.
Which is great, apart from the fact that Bayside Landing is miles away from anywhere else. And then you suddenly realise, oh, hang on, I need to go and get these things, and the only place I can get them is 700 light years back in the bubble again.
Yeah, well, as you just heard, Shan is offering to give people lifts.
He is.
Yes, aboard his fleet carrier, the Venus Flytrap. So
no, it's called Shenanigans.
Yeah, I must admit, personally, I'm quite enjoying this CG. Everybody else?
I have never shot at a Thargoid in my life, and I still haven't.
There is a theory, and I think it was anecdotally confirmed by a developer, that Thargoids are a faction internal to the game. So it's possible to get friendly with Thargoids internally if you don't ever shoot at one. The more you kill, the more unfriendly you get to this internal Thargoid faction.
I can believe that.
Yeah, well,
I would love to see. I would love to see not being hostile manifest in gameplay somehow.
Well, actually, I can give you an example of that, because normally, if you are not hostile and friendly with the reasonably friendly with the Thargoids, when you're interdicted, basically they'll come up and do the old thing, which they'll scan you and then they'll leave you alone. However, if like me, which basically I've been basically massacring as many scouts as I can to get the combat elite, they hate my guts. So every time I'm hyperdicted, as soon as I'm come out, they're coming straight for me with everything they've got. So that's a good job I've got my dirty drives to get the heck out of there. But that's not all that's been happening this week. What else has been happening this week is, well, let's see. The Imperials have declared victory in the CG from last week. They have declared martial law in a lot of Malinist systems, leading to several systems worth of Imperial citizens fleeing to the Federation in megaships. This is getting quite scary.
It's
actually.
toothsome, isn't it? It's good. I remember a couple of weeks ago saying I was quite excited by the Marlinist thing. This is really interesting. This is really interesting storytelling. And it is in previous ones who to support. If you were an Empire pilot, who to support was fairly clear cut, and the insurgency factions have never been particularly well supported. This is different. If you keep an eye on the storylines, we could see some really big changes in the diplomatic layout of the galaxy, or the political layout of the galaxy through this.
Yeah,
I think.
yeah, especially when we touch on the next story. But as far as this one's concerned, it does feel like they're basically hunting down their own citizens.
Yes, but which is the most profitable? Going with the hunters or the hunted?
Some of us role players having skin in the game. My commander is a proud Imperial citizen, but is conflicted about this. What do you do if your leader who enjoys broad support and has by and large done good things for your nation? What do you do if you see a sort of an insurgency who are supported by quite a lot of civilians and have good humanitarian points to make, are then hounded out of the nation as refugees? Like, what do you do? I don't know. It's just it's good. It's good storytelling.
Yeah, Ben, did you want to jump in there?
Just talking about refugees, what I really think would be incredibly interesting to see is if we have the equivalent of refugees getting into federal or alliance territories hidden in the backs of lorries, possibly showing up with them all being dead due to various, due to space being dangerous.
Well, it's funny you should mention that, because
it's a dangerous thing to go off and doing all this escaping malarkey.
Yeah,
especially if you end up on Shan's fleet carrier.
I'm gonna write
where you'll get flushed out into space.
I'm really helpful.
Or told as slaves.
I'm the most helpful player ever.
I am. I'm super nice. It's just you lot being mean. Why have you gone on Monty Python?
I don't know. I like the funny voices.
Well, on top of all this,
Sovereign is now the minister for silly walks.
Yeah, all right.
More like silly voices then.
You know who Shan...
Actually, let's put this official. We're going to now rename Sovereign's title to Minister for Silly Voices. How does all those in favour say aye?
Aye.
Aye.
There you go. That's democracy for you, right?
All right. Then.
Just to continue, actually, Galnet has just been updated. I checked it earlier today, but it was still going on with other stuff. But it seems that the Federation and the Alliance are taking in the refugees. There's 10 megaships which have escaped and have arrived with huge amounts of refugees, even though the the Empire has formally demanded that these political refugees are extradited from the Federation. The Federal Ambassador Jordan Rochester, who you might remember was once engaged to some blue-haired bint, has basically said no.
Meow.
Well, we all know.
I thought all the Rochesters were named after Greek gods or something.
Really?
No.
I thought there was some naming scheme for all the Rochester children.
There is, but I think it's alphabetical, isn't it?
Possibly.
So,
yeah, I might be getting confused with something else.
Next it'll be like Kate Rochester or something. I'm pretty sure it was ABC.
Kevin or Karen.
Maybe.
What's
the equivalent of a? What's the male equivalent of a Karen?
A Kevin. I don't know. It always used to be a Kevin.
I don't think there is a male equivalent of a Karen.
There used to be, because you used to see the vinyl strips across the windscreens of.
It was Kevin, I'm sure.
Horses and things. Yeah, it was. Yeah, that was a classic one, wasn't it?
Certainly up north, it was a Kevin.
Right. So effectively, this is the refugees fleeing. So are we actually going to see, you reckon, some proper Federation versus Empire action over these refugees? Could we be heading to a full-on army?
Well, I don't know, because what I would be doing, and the way I would do the CG, is I wouldn't have a contest between each power to get the most refugees. I would have a contest between the powers to see who can offload the most refugees to the other power.
Is there a CG ongoing at the moment for ferrying refugees?
No. This is just Galnet news, and I'm speculating that the next CG will be something to do with these refugees.
That would be really cool. That would be very, very cool. Okay, so my take: I don't think that we will see another sort of Cold War scenario, ratcheting tensions between the Empire and the Federation, because I think from Frontier's perspective, they've already done that. They did that, culminating in the Return. I don't think they'll do that. I think you'll probably see. I think they'll explore the tensions between democratic ideals and the I don't know, the dignity and values of the Empire. And I think you'll see. I think this will be like an examination of how the different superpowers, how their cultures can sort of compete for people's sympathies. I also don't think they'll leave the Alliance out as much as the Alliance were left out of the kind of Cold War scenario that happened the last time that there were significant superpower tensions.
Well, this also brings us on to the next thing, because on as far as the political side of things in the Federation, it does seem that support for federal President Zachary Hudson is basically on a serious roller coaster down, isn't it? It's plummeting faster than basically people leaving Slough Station.
Is his chief rival Senator Biden by any chance?
I was just thinking, when are you gonna start talking about elite?
Yes, this is strange timing, isn't it? Just a coincidence, we are quite sure. But Shadow President Felicia Winters has stopped short of making direct allegations against Hudson, but in several powerful speeches she has stressed that no elected ruler can be above the law. So, I mean, it does feel as if all of a sudden, after so many months of just a completely static galaxy, it does seem that wheels within wheels are turning.
You'd almost think there's an expansion coming out, wouldn't you?
It's grown up storytelling as well. It's good. There aren't heroes and villains.
And you know what? I suspect this whole thing with the Federation thing was actually a thread we're picking up, which was probably set in motion some time ago. When the whole scenario about right from the Onion Head Wars on up was designed, it was this was going to be probably going to be an eventual thing to happen. So I think we're possibly reawakening stuff they might have planned a long time ago and sort of never got round to doing way back then and are doing now, which is nice, because I'd like to see some. I'd like to see the Onion Head, because we did have that brief, whatever they call that, brief visit from the terrorist group from Kappa Fornacis, who had been who was taking revenge for the what wasn't Winters, Halsey, wasn't it? So long ago now. What Halsey had done by bombing all the Onion Head farms, etc., etc.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just hoping we'll get a little bit of that back again, because that was quite an interesting thread. And of course, it's our capital system now, so we've got a bit of a vested interest in these things happening.
Oh, Shan, you've probably already seen this, but at least you've got Paul Archer on your side.
Well, see, I've met Paul in real life, and he knows how nice I am.
Hey, Shan's got friends somewhere. That's good to know.
Paul,
Yeah,
Paul, if you're listening, there are people you can call. just reach out.
It's always funny about when Shan says such and such knows how nice I am. Everybody goes quiet for a few seconds.
Yes, we're paying our respects, Mac.
If you have been affected by any of the shenanigans in this program, there will be a helpline available at the end of the show.
I think you are big bullies.
You're bullying me.
Just a note on the Federation and Hudson and stuff. I haven't been following all the conspiracy theories and things, but one or not conspiracy theories, but like I don't know, theories as to what might happen. But one observation is that in terms of capitalizing on a humanitarian crisis and a cultural and the cultural tension within the empire, Hudson is kind of uniquely poorly placed to capitalize on that. Winters is a much more apposite leader for capitalizing on the empire's weakness at the moment.
So Winters is coming.
Yeah, basically, yeah. So the logical ramification of that is potentially that it would be more interesting to for her to be in charge at this particular moment, I think.
Yeah, Hudson. I think Hudson versus the Empire is a bit like Trump versus North Korea. It's never really going to go well.
Never going to go well.
Well, he doesn't have anything particularly trenchant to say about a refugee crisis. Whereas Winters really would. I can imagine her being really quite, making some really sort of scathing points about Arissa and her handling of it.
That's what I mean by the CG, if there is one, should be about offloading refugees to the other power, not about getting them for yourself. That would be a much more cutting story, wouldn't it?
Or maybe you could have a choice of rescuing refugees and then you drop them off with the Empire, or you drop them off with the Federation.
That would be brilliant. That would be so interesting.
You repatriate them, or in other words, send them to the dungeon, or take them to supposed liberty.
Wait, you drop them off in Calais.
Yeah, so if you drop them off with the Imperials, the refugees then become Imperial slaves.
Mm-hmm.
If you drop them off with the Federation, they then become proper slaves, illegal cargo, and then farmed out to the Alliance.
They become Foxconn employees and they just put together iPhones for the rest of their lives.
Yeah, I think that's called indentured workers, which are basically the same thing as slaves. See, not much difference between the two when you think about it.
Oh, yeah, the Imperial slaves can repay their debt, can't they? Yeah,
yes.
It's a slave by contract rather than slave by force.
Yeah, apparently it's what is it? It's like signing up to the military for a fixed term, and you get a lump sum to either pay off debts or to scurry away, and you are basically owned for that period. And I don't think you can buy out, if you see what I mean.
Is this what Shan means when he says that Paul is his friend?
You might like to think so. I couldn't possibly comment.
Why? What have I missed? Oh, do you mean that Paul is currently owned, or Shan has Paul's indentured contract?
Well, just saying. Maybe, who knows? Stranger things have happened. Just call us, Paul. Just make the call.
Yes. 0800.
That's my lawyer on the phone.
Free slave now. I think we should start a movement. #FreePaul. FreePaul from Shan. We have had a store alert this week because there's been no newsletter. Can someone remind me on what ships were getting new skins?
Nope.
No.
There was some
Okay.
Azure. There was some Azure skins, wasn't there? When Horizons becomes free for everyone, anyone who's already
Yeah.
got Horizons are getting the Azure.
Yeah, you're going to get the Azure pack. Now that's actually due next week. Now that's actually sneaked up on us, isn't it? Because
Yes.
we're all so focused on Odyssey, with it, we've completely forgotten that actually everybody gets Horizons next week.
I'm wondering how many people don't have Horizons.
I was just thinking that as well.
I do know one person, but he hasn't played for ages because, well, he just hasn't played for ages. I think it was a friend at work he landed in a station somewhere and got scanned for illegal goods. And last time he tried to launch, he got shot down. I said, "Oh yeah, it's changed a bit now. You can probably leave. I mean, you won't be hostile, and your hostility will have decayed anyway. But I think he'll get Horizon. I ought to tell him because he might start playing again if he gets Horizons."
Well, what we're going to do is we're going to take a break now, and we will come back in a few minutes with continuing on our main discussion from actually last week, which was the deep dive into some of the answers that we got on Odyssey. So,
attention, attention. Second Technician Chris Forrester to the emergency air locks on deck 6. I repeat, Second Technician Forrester to the emergency air locks on deck 6.
Ah, Technician Forrester, just the man. Now, we need you to get in the airlock.
The what now?
The airlock, Forrester, the airlock. The Remlock vendor is malfunctioning. I'm sure a quick clout with your trusty wrench will do the trick. No time to dawdle, come on. Employee of the month award in for you here. Just step this way and... brilliant.
Warning, depressurization alert. Warning, depressurization alert. Warning, depressurization alert. Warning, depressurization alert. Warning, depressurization alert.
Attention, attention. Clear docking bay and launch rubbish pickup tug. I repeat, clear docking bay and launch rubbish pickup.
Yes. It could be like this.
Astrogator tours. Put some excitement back in your life. Book an adventure in the Lave Business Directory. Now.
Hello. Transmitting to every corner of the galaxy.
and welcome back. Now, as you may be aware, a couple of weeks, I think it's a couple of weeks ago now, Stephen Benedetti put up a couple of answers to some questions about the upcoming Odyssey release, and it was mostly based on the Dev Diary 2, which was focused on the planet side stuff. So what we're going to do is we're going to go through each of these points in turn and go and give them a bit of a discussion. Now, we had got so far as walking actually into a settlement, but then they've started to discuss what can actually happen in a settlement. And of course, one of the things that happens there are the mission boards that you can get. So the question that was asked was, how do mission availability vary throughout the game? And I'm assuming that they mean planet side missions in this one. To which the response has been, The missions available from contacts and boards in the social hubs and settlements will depend on the BGS status. This means you will find different missions in different locations in the same way as you do with Elite Dangerous today. Some missions given by vendors will ask commanders to visit a certain location, retrieve a specific item, or even kill an NPC. However, you don't want a mission to go to a settlement. You can go wherever you want, when you want, and create your own story. This includes the ability to, if you decide to, perform nefarious acts like looting or killing NPCs. And just remember, your actions could have a negative effect on the controlling faction. In turn, this will affect your reputation with them and the BGS. So this seems to me like that. And just to add to this, I do know that they have said that there are going to be a lot of missions which are within walking distance of wherever these missions start from. So hopefully we won't be trudging for hours and hours through these planets. But what's your initial reaction to that?
These boots are made for walking.
Resoundingly loud is our initial reaction to that.
Yeah, it did. To be honest, it just kind of feels a little like yeah, you're going to be able to do stuff and stuff that's pretty similar to what we've already got,
but on boots on the ground.
Yeah,
instead of spaceships in the sky, basically,
Or SRVs.
or SRVs.
I guess it depends because there could well be other activities. I mean, for example, we have a jetpack, so it may be possible to have. You need to scan something you can only get access to by careful use of a jetpack.
Yeah.
So it's almost like a jumping puzzle with jetpacks.
That sounds feasible. I mean, it would be a case of getting your explorer suit and jetpack over to a certain location to scan something.
Because a big part of, well, one of the parts of Guild Wars 2, and yes, you can drink, was that the devs had actually put in proper jumping puzzles in the game, and you got an achievement if you did them all and rewarded at the end. So finding these jumping puzzles and things like that was a really useful and rather fun activity. So if there was anything like that they could put in, or even if they couldn't put in, I can just see something like it's something Alec could do. You know, the outpost jumping puzzle where you have to jump from tower to tower in variable gravity, and it would like become like a parkour event.
I can't see them putting that in personally.
Oh, I mean, I must admit, Chris Mark IV has made his first suggestion. He said, "Jetpack racing, please."
There's bound to be some racing angle. There always is. Alec Turner and his lot have always seemed to find some kind of racing angle. So I bet there's going to be like Space Legs athletics events augmented by jetpacks and things like that. And I'm sure it'll have its unique challenge, just like SRV driving has its unique challenges. Mainly oriented around not hitting stuff and exploding. I'm sure doing stuff on foot will have it's probably not so much exploding, but not going splat, not falling off a precipice somewhere and going splat.
Wouldn't it be really funny if gravity really affected jetpacks? So it'd be like Roadrunner, where you kind of ran along,
you go off the end
for a minute, and then just sort of end up with a little puff of cloud at the bottom. The Acme jetpack.
Oh no! Who would pay good money to have a skin for your jetpack that says Acme on it? Line cartoon anyway. Maximum speed of a Roadrunner 20 miles an hour. Maximum speed of a Coyote 40 miles an hour. The Roadrunner wouldn't stand a chance. Anyway, not that I feel that.
You know the fundamental error the Coyote makes in the Roadrunner cartoons is he works from the fundamental assumption that the equipment he uses will work as advertised. If he didn't use Acme, I don't know, went to Argos or or something like that, he would actually catch a Roadrunner. It's the fact he's reliant on a single unreliable supplier is why he can't catch a Roadrunner.
Yeah, do you think that Acme have been renamed Wish?
There is such thing.
Or from
as an-
AliExpress.
There is such thing as an Acme screw, and it describes the form of a particular kind of thread. It's that kind of coarse, squared off thread. It's usually like a jack screw or something. Like an acro prop used for propping up buildings or whatever, or that kind of thing. That's an Acme screw.
Well, it must admit, I am looking at a lot of the landscapes, and I am thinking that looks very much like the landscape between the Roadrunner and the Coyote. Oh, we needed some road going between the settlements, and that's it. There'll be a Coyote in a spacesuit ready to throw a boulder over the edge of them.
I just want a black hole I can pull out of my pocket and stick to a cliff face or something.
I was so, just another tangent. I was so disappointed that that there's been an urban legend going around where you see the picture of somebody has painted a Roadrunner type tunnel on a wall.
Oh yes,
with a picture of either the Roadrunner or Wile E. Coyote next to it, and someone's gone into it. The problem is that's a hoax. It's not real, according to Snopes rather. So, I can't just read this. Commander Witherspoon has made a very, very. I can't believe we're going down this tangent, but he said the company name in the Roadrunner cartoons is ironic since the word Acme is derived from the Greek, meaning the peak, zenith, or prime. Yet products from the fictional Acme Corporation are often generic, failure-prone, or explosive.
Yes, but the peak or zenith or prime of what? If you want the zenith or prime of unreliability, then that still fits.
I still think they've renamed him Wish. Not that I'm bitter about some of the things I got from that website. Anyway, moving on. The next question they have asked us, they have answered rather, was how will NPCs react to the players and each other? To which they said, Odyssey NPCs will react to players and other NPCs based on a number of factors, from obvious status elements like having a weapon drawn to their current BGS affiliation. NPCs have a variety of professionally voiced acted dialogue, which will add to the immersion of the galaxy. If you're on good terms with a faction, they will be kind to you. If you are not in good terms, start ducking as they may start firing on sight. So, Shan, as a regular diplomatic attaché, how do you feel about this?
Well, one of the things we talked about the other week was the localization aspect. Because if they're fully voiced, how does the localization between different languages fit in? So, for example, if they're in Spanish, are there going to be less responses in Spanish than there are in English? So that's one of the questions. Potentially, it could be very good, but again, I'm maybe a bit jaded. But when I hear like, "Oh, the NPCs will react differently to you depending on your standing, etc." And it makes it sound as if it's going to be really varied and really exciting and all sorts of stuff. But usually, it can come down to there's a polite response, a neutral response, and a go away response, and that's as far as it goes. So it will be interesting to see how they do it.
This station doesn't belong to us, but we do have a deal with those that do. And if anybody knows what I'm on about there, you will probably be ready to claw your ears out if you've played too much Freelancer. Yeah,
I used to be a spaceman until I got a micrometeorite to the knees.
Yeah, those kind of repetitive phrases really, they're meme-tastic, aren't they?
It was in Frontier First Encounters. It was always, you'll regret dealing with whoever it was you took the mission from. Insert name here. You'll regret dealing with David Braben. That's what all of the NPCs said to you before they lit you up. I mean, they didn't say David Braben. They said whatever the mission giver's name was.
I'm sure there used to be different responses to your shit from NPCs in Elite Dangerous. I'm sure they toned them down a bit or changed them. I certainly remember different responses from NPCs. I mean, there's the classic one, "Oh, my children go hungry tonight," and all that sort of stuff.
Oh yeah,
I'm sure there were different ones. I'm sure there were different ones.
There's still a fair number of them, but they're going to be finite because somebody actually has to think of them and type them in. And if you play the game long enough, you're going to see them come around from time to time.
Yeah. As long as they give the NPC crew some different ones. Because as soon as one of my NPC crew goes, "That's one for me, Commander," they're sacked. I go, "No, you bloody not one for you. I shot it. all you did was act as a distraction."
But but they could be very important acting as a distraction because it means you're not being shot at. They're taking.
Yeah, but they shouldn't be taking credit for the kill, should they?
Well, they did help. I mean, they assisted. I mean, credit where credit's due.
Sometimes mine actually get the kill. I like to sick them onto targets when I'm collecting when my limpets are collecting materials and resource extraction sites. I like to sick the fighter onto my next target. So
you're too nice to them, Sue.
Sometimes they get the kill without my input.
Well,
too nice to them.
I had to sack my elite one while saving up for my fleet carrier because he was taking too much money.
So you sacked an elite one?
Yeah. And I'd had him since they were available. I mean, like forever. It was like my third one. My first one got killed through a misadventure. The second one I sacked quite early on for reasons. But anyway, the upshot is I have a brand new one, one Roy Burt, who I've actually started this time at Harmless. So I'm training him up.
Yeah.
My NPC crew, I've got 3 elite NPC crew at the moment, and I think the cumulative wages for them is in excess of 20 billion credits.
Ow.
That's astonishing.
Wow. I take it you work them up from Harmless.
One I did because at the time I was getting into the rare NPCs, and if you get a good-looking NPC with an English accent, that's almost like rocking horse.
Yeah.
Finding a good-looking NPC is like rocking horse, you mean? Let alone an English accent.
There are some good-looking ones. I mean, there's an awful lot of plain ones, but there's some good-looking ones. I mean, come on. I mean, they generally look better. Who was that engineer we were talking about? And Mary or whatever
Etienne
it was.
Dawn.
Yeah, Etienne Dawn. Most of them are better looking than Etienne Dawn.
That's raising the bar really high, isn't it? Oh God.
Maybe we should get Sovereign to judge an NPC contest because he seems to be most infatuated with Mr. Dawn, having brought them up twice.
Yeah, sure. Happy to do that.
Oh.
So, NPC crew, kiss, marry, avoid. Yeah.
So yeah, we've gone from engineers to NPC crew, have we? So we've now all got to compare our crew. That's
It's
not going
funny.
to end well.
My current one there's 2 mugshots of him. There's one from the there's kind of one shot from like a low camera angle, and it makes him look like who was that guy with a massive chin in the 1980s? Jimmy Hill. It makes him look like Jimmy Hill. But there's another one which is kind of normal, a sort of normal like shot at face level where he looks kind of normal.
Mm. I mean, well, obviously, I mean, as far as when you walk into a base, if you are in an unfriendly BGS state with these people, they're just going to start shooting at you straight away, aren't they?
Well, only when they recognize you, presumably.
How's that going to work? Because if they can shoot at you, surely you're going to be allowed to shoot back. And if you're allowed to shoot back, you're allowed to kill them. So what happens? You just walk into the bar and kill the
Well,
mission givers.
you might be. It might make you an outlaw.
Obviously, if they start shooting at you, they think you're an outlaw anyway.
Well, yes, but it might make you even more outlawish. You know what I mean? It might. Your notoriety will go up if you kill them.
So also then, does that mean if you incur a bounty on your ship, does that bounty then carry over to when you get out of your ship?
Well, bounties are on ships rather than at the moment. So I'd have to presume that when you're out of your ship, you're kind of a bit incognito.
Yeah, I think. Well, no, the bounties apply just to your ship. Notoriety applies just to the commander. So I think whenever you're going to, if they carry on with that model, that means that when you're out on your Todd, then that bounty will apply to only when you're on your foot, if you see what I mean.
I know where this is going.
Go on.
Well, we go into a bar and people moan because Shan shot first.
Shan shot first.
Did Shan shoot the sheriff?
Shan shot the sheriff.
Well, it's going to be
Star Wars meme.
I know it's the Star Wars meme.
Yeah, but I'm talking about the other ones who started singing.
Well, you got to remember this is more Firefly than it is Star Wars.
This is not the impression you're looking for.
Yeah, this is.
I want the cantina music from Star Wars when you're going, I want something like that, like the cantina music.
They can't use it, can they?
I know they can't use it, but
they can't use that one, but they could make a new one that's kind of like it, couldn't they?
They could rip it off.
Wouldn't it be great if they played the Planet Coaster theme when you walked in the bar?
You know what? I mean, knowing the quality of the musicians that have done the soundtrack for Planet Coaster, it wouldn't surprise me if we come across if they've come up with some fantastic atmospheric music that rivals John Williams. Because to be honest, I've found the soundtracks have been that good.
What, for Planet Coaster or just Frontiers games generally?
Frontiers games generally, the sound and the music has been top rate.
Yeah.
So it wouldn't surprise me whether or not they come up with something which rivals. It has a Star Wars feel to it, but it's not Star Wars. If you see what I mean.
And that goes all the way back to Frontier First Encounters, because they'd engaged. There was I'm trying to remember the credits now. There's a guy called Dave Lowe and.
Is this
another lot called the Quality Quartet, who did the music for Frontier First Encounters, and that was a lot of that was really good.
Yeah, I mean, it goes back to good old Uncle Art with the original theme tune to Frontier, and yeah, I mean, especially when you hear the orchestral version of it, which was done as part of his Kickstarter. It's fantastic work.
Yeah, we all had to back in the day. We all had to listen to it as a tinny FM synthesized MIDI tune. But if you look around, some people have actually used really decent equipment to produce the original Frontier and Frontier First Encounters MIDI files, and they sound really good.
Mac, have you heard the proper orchestral version of it?
No, I haven't heard it. Well, actually played by actual live musicians.
Oh, right. Well, in that case, at the end of this show, I'll pass you the link, and basically, Uncle Art, who originally did the soundtrack for Lead, we know this. What's happening here?
I was hitting the thing to go and add. Yeah, hitting the thing to go and add the stuff to the thing, and then suddenly realise I'm not in studio mode. Is what's happening there. Anyway, right, nothing to see here. Moving on.
Moving on. Yeah, it was part of Uncle Art's Kickstarter. We had our own Alan Stroud heading down to Abbey Road Studios to see it recording and listen to was it the London Philharmonic? I think it was It was a quite impressive orchestra which did it.
How did I miss that?
I don't know. This is what got me, because I thought
completely
everybody
bypassed me. How on earth did I miss that?
Well, and on top of that, someone has gone and redone the whole intro to Frontier using the Elite Dangerous engine, and then put this soundtrack on top, and it's astoundingly good.
Yeah, I've got to see that.
Right. Oh, well, I'll get you the link. We'll also put the link in the show notes.
Yeah, get the link. That sounds wonderful.
Because as I said, anything done by Uncle Art, it's just great as far as I'm concerned. But moving on, now they've asked, can you give some examples of the suits which will be available? The answer here was, commanders will be able to purchase and switch between multiple suits to help them with different mission types. We already knew that. Outside of the flight suit, you'll be able to equip exploration suit, combat suit, and scavenger suit, and you'll be able to purchase multiples of each suit and give them different loadouts depending on your particular playstyle / mission. The suits we mentioned above will be geared towards specific mission activities. You do not need to own the suit type to take on that specific activity. However, doing so would make life easier. Suits can be upgraded in a variety of ways to help prove their capabilities. We'll be announcing more on different suit types and so on in the future, so stay tuned. Now, they also add, will these suits have shields? And they've confirmed that they do have shields, and that the suits will have a battery supply. So, I mean, we've covered suits before, haven't we?
We've talked about suits a fair bit, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you do get the impression that these suits are effectively the new ship, or the new SRV. You got to be able to, upgrade them somehow.
Not to similar levels of complexity, anyway.
So, is anybody else thinking still suits from June?
Yes, I was.
I really hope not.
Talking about June, I was thinking about the film as well, when they said the shield, when they have the duel, don't they, between Duncan, Idaho and Paul Atreides, I think it is. And the shield's got to stop any projectile weapons and stuff, so they have to fight with knives and thrust really slowly to get to. So yes, I was thinking June of that.
Yeah, I mean, correct me if I'm wrong. I'm under the impression that you can actually buy the suits with normal credits, but the only way to upgrade the suits is with the new currency, whatever that is.
The Triganic Pews.
The Triganic Pews, yes.
It's been quite interesting, actually, because I was. Do you remember the Mirror Universe episode we did a little while ago, where we talked about the things you could do? In your ships. If you listen to that, there's quite a lot of similarities in what we wanted to happen with what's been promised to be delivered.
Yeah, I must admit, it is. Looks like our episode was just maybe a year too early. and it wouldn't have been so tongue-in-cheek.
See, we were prophetic. We weren't pathetic, we were prophetic.
I mean, I take it that you can buy a suit, it'll have modules, it's some kind of module slots, and then you can equip them with better shields or better, more efficient batteries or more, I don't know, inventory space.
If they have batteries, I wonder if you can get those Anchor power packs you can get for your phone. I wonder if you'll get an anchor for your spacesuit.
No, I want a little. I want one little handle on. You have to keep cranking it to a clockwork one.
How come that doesn't surprise me? Actually, that could look quite dodgy. There's you constantly winding your arm up in order just to keep alive.
And here, this episode is why we're glad Ben is on tech to say.
The amount of double entendre opportunities that are passing him by. Oh, I could just imagine him. He's in a little knot of anxiety in the back room, going, "No, I wanted to say something." Right. Well, suits can have modules that can be swapped out, and there are engineering possibilities to enhance the suits. So does that mean we're going to have suit-specific engineers from now on?
It does sound like it, doesn't it?
Well, we're getting new engineers, aren't we? So so they might be suit specific. Yeah.
I want engineers that change the look of the suit. So you have like really big Time Lord collars, or a Buck Rogers, Wilma Deering kind of looking suit. That sort of thing that you can change the look of and change the functionality.
Of course, we keep on forgetting about Shan's obsession with Wilma Deering.
The first time I've ever mentioned it was Mad Dog who had the stream dedicated to Erin Gray for years and years and years.
Yeah.
Or are you superimposing your fixation of Erin Gray onto myself in a vain attempt to hide it?
Honestly, that has now just put such a mental image in my head that I may have to seek therapy. So, yeah, I mean, obviously the shields are going to be helpful in combat. I mean, are there any other times when you think shields will be handy?
When falling off cliffs and things.
Yeah, fall damage is an interesting one.
So do you think they'd act like the way that Chell does in Portal, which means that she can't get hurt at all by falling damage?
Yeah, interesting.
She has her feet replaced by
those kind of spring thing. Well, they don't replace her feet. They're called long fall boots. So they're kind of something you wear.
That's Valve Hand Wavium, that is.
Yes.
Yeah. The next question they ask is, will I have a on-foot inventory? And they say, yes, players will have an on-foot inventory, and Odyssey will introduce some new materials which will be gathered on foot. These include organic samples, which we collect using the field sampler tools for the new xenobiologist rank. Well, that's I take it the field sampler is the Dyson type thing.
The Dyson multi-tool, yeah.
Yeah, that we have been quite excited about. Is anybody else sort of frightened by the field sampler tool? Because we've had reports that it's been a bit scary.
Sorry, the field sampler. Why scary?
Well, you wouldn't want to be probed by it, would you?
Yeah, that's a good point.
I'm not sure anyone wants to be probed by Ben's field sampler.
Oh dear. I see.
Hey, this is fun. We can provoke Ben, and he can't say anything, so we can just like wind him up, and they have to fight his turn.
He can mute us, crucially.
Yeah, I was about to say he does have control of the mute button, Shan. Be very careful. And finally, we're moving back to the Apex Interstellar Travel. Now, does the Apex Interstellar Travel service now mean that it is viable to travel between systems by the way of taxi flights, while in theoretically never flying your own ship? And they said, yes, that's it exactly. You can now choose to play Elite Dangerous without a ship. Commanders will be able to use their ships or the Apex Interstellar service, or both, to move around the galaxy. That being said, there will be areas Interstellar will not take you. So, how does that sound? That means that this has made Elite Dangerous no longer just about spaceships. It's just about the galaxy.
I think it's brilliant. I think it's totally brilliant. It's what we were promised originally, and it's what I've been waiting for. I think it's really cool. I don't think many people will play without ships, but I think basically the ships need to become vehicles rather than avatars, crucially. And this is going to allow that. So it's brilliant. I think it's really good. I think also that there is a when they introduced multiple ship ownership, it did allow the possibility for things like leaving your ship in the wrong place, or finding yourself sort of marooned somewhere, or not without a ship, but like without the ship that you want for the specific task you're doing. And this will get around that slightly.
What the heck is it? All of a sudden, people seem to have been obsessed with Wilma Deering all of a sudden.
Sorry?
Oh, sorry. It's people turning up on the chat. One thing that they haven't mentioned about any of the missions, as is on foot mining. So far, they've discussed, combat. They've discussed exploration, and they've discussed salvage.
Do we know that there will be mining?
Well, that's the thing. They haven't actually mentioned it. Do you think mining would be an option?
Do you know
what? Not very profitable, is it?
I just don't feel like the game needs any more mining.
I don't think we'll be going down to the pit or anything like that, but there may be. Think how you do mining in the SRV. You kind of sort of surface mining, as it were, finding materials and what have you on the surface of. I have to imagine that's going to be a possibility that you can do basically what you do in the SRV on foot as well. So you can go collecting. I don't know, whatever tantalum or whatever it is you're after for your engineering stuff by wandering around and sort of picking it up, a bit like the Apollo astronauts did on the moon.
Or, as Chris Mark IV has suggested, explosives. That's what you need your shields for. Set your explosives, start hobbling away with or firing your jetpack and hope you don't get rolled. Again,
well, a bit like
to
the
Wile
deep core.
Coyote.
A bit like the the thing with deep core mining, that kind of that could be quite spectacular actually if you could blow stuff up.
I don't think I would mind as long as you like put 2 diamonds on your eyes and do the Google Eye thing like in Snow White.
Actually, only Dopey did that, Shan.
I don't care.
Okay, just make an observation that only Dopey did that. That's all.
Yeah, but Dopey has a sense of fun. Everyone else is too boring. See, the other 6 dwarfs, they want to work and they want to think, and Dopey just wants to muck about. So, what would you rather be?
Well,
do hard work in a mine or muck about?
Well, put it this way: Dopey did manage with twice the amount of kisses that all the other dwarfs has got, if I remember rightly.
Are you asking Elite Dangerous players whether they'd rather muck around or mine?
There's an interesting thought.
Yeah, but I can't imagine hauling 600 tons of palladium from the mine on your back.
Paul singing "Hi ho, hi ho." No. We've had a comment from Drywall Deluxe. He says, "I just want a wing mission where one player distracts the defenses and provides air support, while another will sneak in and steal something on foot." Now that is the kind of mission that I'm hoping that we're going to be getting.
Well, they do keep talking about combined arms. They do keep talking. They keep saying things like, "Oh, you'll be able to do things. Some of you in SRV, some of you in ships, some of you in on foot and stuff." Like that does kind of indicate that they've got that kind of thing in mind. I agree with you. I really hope for that as well.
What about Tomb Raider in Guardian of the Ruins?
That sounds great to me.
Yep.
I mean, there are plenty of those ruins which you think that looks like a door. If you can only open that door, I would like to go down, and maybe we can only access them on foot rather. That would scratch the old Indiana Jones itch, wouldn't it?
Yep.
I mean, that could come under the salvaging. You need a salvaging suit to help with that. Although knowing the Tharg, or knowing the Guardians, you'd probably need a big gun as well, because you never know.
I thought the Guardians were rather wussy, really, to be honest.
Yeah, the Guardians have never shot much. I mean, they have those little things that fly around and shoot you, but they're not really that dangerous.
They're more of a nuisance, aren't they?
Yeah, I mean, you can take them on just fine in an SRV, so it's like, it's not like the Thargoids who bring out the actual real big weapons.
I was thinking about that this morning, actually, is that how wussy the Thargoids actually are, and the same with the Guardians. Because the Thargoids are supposed to be millions of years old, and the Guardians basically trashed their civilization trying to fight them. And yet, it didn't, it just took a bunch of hobos, humans, to get together and see off an entire two sets of species. It's like in Babylon 5 having Earth Force fighting the Vorlons.
Well, no, because the Guardians have said that there's something about the Thargoids that have stopped their evolution. They've got to this level, and at this point they haven't evolved any further. They've been this way for for millions of years. It's like crocodiles. Crocodiles haven't evolved more than they have for millions of years.
Interesting.
But yet they're still but they still put as a big bad, still more advanced than humanity, aren't they? That was
what, crocodiles?
No,
yeah.
They're advanced in different ways. I think the design behind the Thargoids is that they're totally alien, which means that you can't. It's no simple matter to compare their technological progress to ours. And you see that in the ship design. Like they have their shields are momentary and on a timer. And their hull replenishes. Like the entire, I think the whole design philosophy behind the Thargoids, both narratively and mechanically, is that they are as alien as it is possible for the devs to create.
And I must admit, I think they've done a fantastic job of doing it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh yeah, Shan, you're being corrected here. The Guardians were killed by their own AI.
Yeah, the AI was developed to help them fight Thargoids.
Yeah.
You know what about the funny thing about the Guardians and the Thargoids? So the Guardians are supposed to be a somewhat humanoid race who died off 2 million years ago. Now, the first fossilized remains of humans were found 2 million years ago. So what happens if the Thargoids had actually done an experiment? They'd taken they caused all this trouble by taking the Guardians or some of them and putting them on Earth to see what would happen, isolated from the rest of their civilization.
I've wondered this as well. I have had this conversation with somebody, and I was told that that it is probably not the case because the timings don't work out properly.
However, there is this strange obelisk object which they discovered on Mars, which seemed to have been monitoring us. The Federation have it under wraps. They won't let anybody else touch it, but people know it's there, and they think it's got. They are concerned that it's either Guardian or Thargoid. They're not quite so sure which one it is.
We don't. It's not necessarily an obelisk, is it? I don't think we know anything about the Mars relic.
Well, I'm sorry. Maybe I'm just being influenced by 2001 too much. That's my problem.
I think we know. I think what we know about the Mars relic is that it's very small, and that nobody's allowed near it, and the Federation keep it under wraps. I don't think that we know anything about it beyond the fact that it's sort of much smaller than it's like a sort of handheld thing. The Guardians as progenitor race for humanity, I found this really compelling as well because the timings are surprisingly close in cosmic terms, and also the fact that the Guardians are humanoid is a bit of a tell. But we had somebody write an article on this type of thing for Sagai a few years ago, and his thought after researching it was that the timings didn't work out. The Guardians were too late, basically. And also, I have read that there's a school of thought that says that a humanoid body plan is not actually that is not implausible as like a convergent evolution thing. I don't necessarily believe this, but some scientists apparently believe that evolutionary scientists and xenobiologists apparently believe that humanoid as a basic body plan is likely to convergently evolve on lots of planets that are like Earth that have carbon-based life because it's optimal for various things. Anyway, the only reason I mention that is because it might explain why the Guardians look a lot like us without necessarily having any relationship to us.
Ah. Has anybody actually known what the Guardians used to look like? Were they humanoid?
Yeah, they're like little red elves, weren't they?
Well, that's how Commander Scorpius has depicted them in some of his videos.
Well, they're in the it's in the codex. We've got during the Ramtar missions, he took people had to get data for him, and then you're rewarded with codex entries, or there might have been comms panel entries. I can't remember, but there are loads of them, and they describe loads of things about the Guardians. They describe their society, their culture, their development of AI, their civil war, their history, their evolution, and their physiology. And they are humanoid. I think they're either red or blue, and I think they might have
they're red. I think
red. And do they have blades on their hands or something?
Okay, the codex in Elite Dangerous, actually, in the in-game thing says the Guardians are a bipedal race, and the typical Guardian was taller and more slender than the average human. They had small round eyes, a vestigial nose, and 4 digits in each hand. Their vision was superior to that of humans, while their sense of smell was poorer. Their sense of hearing and touch were roughly equivalent to our own. The Guardians had pinkish red skin, but there was some variation among ethnic groups, with tones ranging from pale pink to deep crimson. They also had serrated, bony ridges on the outside of their forearms, which were used as weapons during their early history when they were still semi-primitive pack hunters. So yes, and it goes on about the environmental conditions are broadly similar to that of humans, warmer, lower gravity, probably why they're taller and more slender. And that's the kind of planet they colonized, understandably. The Guardians had 2 genders, reproduce sexually, etc., etc. So average gestation, they've got a gestation period here as well, 300 days, and the infants were effectively helpless for a period after birth, much like human young.
Why am I suddenly thinking of the engineers from Prometheus?
Yeah, it's pretty tempting to think like that. It's classic sci-fi stuff, isn't it? Progenitor race.
It is, yes, but personally, I prefer to think that it was a case of a couple of chemicals mixing in a radioactive pool that caused us.
But, of course, I mean, that's got to be the origin somewhere, right? Even if we were some kind of experiment, or even if we are a simulation, like the origin has got to be, depending on how far back you want to go, the origin has got to be chemicals mixing in a warm pool somewhere.
Yes. Well, enough of the. I like the fact that Stephen Usher has actually said the Guardians sent off a useless third of the population in a ship.
Interesting note. I'm pretty sure that everybody in the Lave Radio crew would have been in the 3rd spaceship.
Yes, this is
Speak for yourself.
The Golgafrinchian arc lives on. Well done.
I don't sanitize telephones for just anyone you know.
No, we sanitize everything ourselves now.
Well, it's really important to have telephone sanitizers with COVID. It's funny. My dad actually tells me, because he started work probably in the late 60s, and he said telephone sanitizers were actually a thing back then. They had them at the office he worked at, and it was like unionized. No one else could sanitize a telephone apart from the telephone sanitizer. They'd come around every day and clean your telephone.
Well, in a rather prophetic statement or snippet from the Hitchhikers, weren't the useful Golgafrinchians killed off by a virus found on a dirty telephone?
Yes,
exactly. Yes.
Yeah, the universe loves irony. So we should move on from there. We have a couple of other things to talk about. In the community corner, we first of all have to say hi to Ty from Loose Screws. He is going to be taking a break from the Loose Screws podcast. So the guy started the podcast, and he's handing it over to NJ Tracks, Chig, Hate, Dubs, and Nurgle for a while. He's got some things to He's got some things to sort out, and he's stepping back for quite a while. So we wish him well, and hopefully he'll be back sooner rather than later. But take your time, get better. Also, we have the Dark Wheel update, which is not much has been happening. We have got a report that the Dark Wheel is now in ARCC and will be expanding again soon from 5455. So if anybody knows exactly where that is, then feel free.
ARCC, is that the same as ARQUE?
Where the
Arc
engineer
is
is.
the name of the system. ARRC is the name of the faction.
Ah, right, I see. Good to know. So again, they are still on the move, but we don't know. Well, we'll have to wait and see when this next step happens. So moving on from there, we have.
Yes.
Yes.
Talking of the Dark Wheel and Elite Week. I'm going to do some shameless self promotion at the moment. Elite Week is doing one of my Inara stories right now. One about smuggling fish. I think they did. I think they've done the first two. I think there's. I can't remember how many. It's so long ago since I wrote the thing. And it depends how they're. The guy who's voicing it, whose name escapes me again. I'm sure Kaizen will soon step in and tell me what the guy's name is, because I'm forgetting and I'm running out of breath trying to remember. But yes, so they've done 2 episodes of it so far, so you'll have to search back at it. But it's very nicely done. I've been very appreciative of somebody voice acting it. So yes, thank you to Elite Week and what's his name, who I'll remember before the show, I promise.
Are these HS 5060's logs?
No. Actually, he's not just doing mine. He's doing a bunch of them. He started off with. I'm actually looking through the Elite Week roster right now to try and find out what the guy's name is, and I'm drawing a complete blank.
Kai's shouting out Roy Cookson, by the way.
Roy Cookson, yes, that's who I was trying to remember. Thank you, Kai.
What's Roy Cookson doing?
He's basically doing voice acting for various people's Inara stories, one of which is mine.
Oh, nice.
But he's doing a couple of, he's doing a few others as well, and it's really bringing them to life. So big thumbs up for that. I'm gonna have to try and get the audio so I can post it separately when he's finished. But yes, so yeah, if you don't listen to Elite Week, listen to Elite Week. They're good.
Excellent. Now, obviously, at the beginning of the show, we had a fantastic music video by Commander. I think this is Plague Beyond. It was featured on FDev's live stream today. I take it everybody has seen this. No. It's a very. You'll probably like it. Sovereign, do you like The Expanse?
Yeah, quite like The Expanse.
Yep, well, you'll probably like this because it is kind of like an Elite Dangerous take on the Expanse titles.
Cool, nice.
Yes. And in the subject of shameless self-promotion, there is a quick Top Shifts short which I released over the weekend, showing the advantages of having a Kovat, a voice pack that is full of dedication and motivational speaker when fighting Thargoids. So again, having Brian Blessed shout in your ear as you're blowing away Thargoids is a great motivator. I just thought I'd put something together to show how much better you are at taking out scouts. So moving on from there, any other business? Does anybody have anything they'd like to bring up?
Nope.
No?
The CG.
Yes.
What do you think about the rewards for the CG?
Well, actually, that is a very good point, Shan, because we skipped over that. Now, it's the Class 4 Guardian jump range extender, isn't it?
No, I thought I thought it was all French Guardian Frameshift boosters and the Class 4 cargo. Is that right? The corrosive resistant cargo bay.
Is it that? I think it's just the Guardian frameshift thing.
Yeah, I thought it was as well. Hang on, I have to look up the community goal again now.
It'll be interesting if it's a bigger cut, because wasn't that we got that really pathetic anti-corrosive cargo hold because the CG it was from was not very well finished, if you see what I mean. It didn't hit many tiers.
I thought they unlocked a Class 4 one as part of the tech brokers.
Right, no. The top 75% of contributors will have a Guardian frameshift drive booster unlocked, and a size 4 module will be put into storage for them at the Golden Stag by the 24th of October. So that's all you get. I mean, in the meantime, that you said, there's a discount at certain engineers, which will allow you to get the Guardian modules a lot cheaper than normal. But apart from that, no, that's it. So you're going to get a Guardian, a frameshift booster, which I think a lot of people already have.
Well, that's about the only bit of Guardian tech that's of use if you're not killing Thargoids.
True. Reminds me, I've got to check to make sure I'm still in the top 75%.
But also, if it is simply Class 4, then it's the Class 5 that's the most used. So Class 4, I find, doesn't tend to be as useful because there are the combat ships can tend to only fit Class 4 in, and you're better off fitting a Class 4 something else than a frameshift drive booster.
I really like them. I think they're great.
Yeah, I'm assuming that as soon as because they're unlocking the actual blueprint for the Guardian frameshift booster, you just have to then supply the materials to get the size 5. You don't have to go through the whole rigmarole.
Once you've unlocked it using the materials and the scan stuff from the Guardian ruins, you've unlocked it, and you can then just buy them. You don't need to give them the materials each time.
Oh, well, in that case, we'd just be able to buy any Guardian frameshift drive booster you like then. Because that's what it's saying, it's unlocking.
So do you think they give you a Class 4 for free?
Yes.
Is that what it's implying?
Yeah. Well, you're getting the whole thing unlocked, plus you're getting the Class 4 module.
Oh, it's a Guardian fire sale this week, isn't it?
Yeah, it does seem to be. Which, I don't know, do you think that's an adequate reward?
Yeah, I think it's cool. I think giving, I think unlocking stuff and giving you stuff that that's otherwise quite hard to get is a really good reward, personally.
Yeah. Oh, the one thing that they did confirm on the live stream today was that as far as they're concerned, the double engineered bonus objects that we got from Liz Ryder, we will never be able to. There will never be blueprints for us to use. Basically, you'll only get these kind of modules for taking part in CGs.
That's cool.
They won't have them available as part of normal engineering. So that was asked quite a lot.
Can you buy them? Can you buy several copies, or are you just given a set and that's your lot?
I think you're just given a set and that's your lot.
That's right. Because back in the day, do you remember the overcharged multi-cannons?
Yes, I remember them.
They kept them in game, didn't they? And if you managed to keep them,
Yeah.
You couldn't buy any more, but if you kept them, then you're okay. But I think eventually they got rid of them. But
Yeah, weren't you still allowed to keep them until you got rid of them?
yeah, until you sold them, you couldn't sell them back. But as long as you kept them on a ship, you were allowed to keep them. Because there were all sorts of fun things, wasn't there? There was stealth lasers and things like that.
Yeah. So let's see what else. Oh yes. So any other business now? Excuse me. I must admit, I do have a little bit of Star Wars Squadron news. Both me and Ben took part in a little online game last night, and the game itself has been updated to version 1.2 with a whole lot of extra bug fixes. But I did find myself suffering from my first case of what can only be described as squadron rage.
Right.
I can't imagine what a Colin squadron rage would be like. I just can't imagine you being like the German kid in the meme.
No.
Smashing your keyboard going like that.
No, it's not often I go full Glaswegian, but this was I was unleashing my inner Ouija, so to speak, and this is what happens is that because there was 3 of us, we had our own little mini squadron, and when you go into the fleet battles, there are 2 other players which are added as a pickups, just random people which are added. Well, one of these random people was deciding that if you are in an A-wing, please do not attack the bloody Star Destroyer. Your job is to protect the Y-wings which are attacking the Star Destroyer. And basically I lost it.
I think you're saying that the wrong way around.
What?
A-wings are meant to provide fighter cover, basically. And
yes, they are.
And this guy was attacking the Star Destroyer in his A-wing.
Yes, I was saying if you are in an A-wing, do not attack the Star Destroyer. Yeah. Your job is to protect us as we do it. And yeah, I must admit, I muted my mic for most of it because I think it would have made Ben feel embarrassed. That's how bad it was.
So now I know what to do to entertain myself with Colin. I can get an A-wing and attack Star Destroyers.
Just play the wrong route. Go off and get yourself in a U-wing or something like that, and again attack the Star Destroyers instead of healing everybody.
I can just feel the fists gathering in my hand right now. Oh, yes. So, but yeah, Star Wars Squadrons has been updated, and yeah, I think it's still quite good. You can see that I think a lot of people have completed the single player campaign and tried a bit of multiplayer and are moving on already, but there does seem to be a hardcore of about 4,000 to 5,000 people who are still on it every night, which I don't know if it's still there in 6 months. I think that'd be good.
One of the things I really appreciate about it, especially even compared to Elite, actually, is I like the balancing of your power, which we do have in Elite, with your ship, with your shields, and and how essential it is to target a ship's subsystems.
Yeah, I mean, it is something that we're kind of used to in Elite, and I think that's given us a bit of a leg up to begin with. But people are catching us up now. Seriously,
I think in Star Wars you need to do it even more than you need to do it in Elite. You really do need to take down the shield generators and the power and things like that if you want to get that Star Destroyer or G-35 or whatever the hell it is down. Whereas obviously, if you're taking on a Corvette or a cutter, yeah, technically you kind of maybe should if you want to go for the power plant or something like that. But it's not really needed.
No. completely true. It does involve a lot of teamwork, and when you have someone who's not following the proper role that they've got the ship for, things do fall apart quite quickly. So, moving on from there, obviously the usual questions we'll ask is, what do you folk want from Odyssey? Or your reaction to any of the Odyssey videos? We would love to hear from you. So I'm going to give our shout outs now. So, any objections?
Nope.
Well, starting with number 1, our sister station, Hutton Orbital Radio. It broadcasts on a Thursday at 8:30 British Summer Time. Probably it'll be UTC the week after. You can tune in at tv.forthemug.com, or if you just want the audio, go to radio.forthemug.com. For the discerning commander that likes a bit of CQC action, check out the CQC Discord at discord.me/Elite Dangerous CQC. We do have, following on to this, we have the Galnet News Digest, as provided by Commander Witherspoon, who you can also hear bringing a bit of class and refinement to the Guard Frequency podcast this week. Splitter. So thanks to all those who have chipped in on the Twitch chat and the in-game commanders that have popped by. Did anybody pop by, Mac?
Yes, I am. Miggles is here, also in a Sidewinder, and we're currently canopy to canopy, staring at each other through the roof of our ships.
Lovingly, eh?
Sounds dramatic.
Sounds so romantic, yeah.
Longingly into each other's eyes, or something like that. I normally only do that with my Holomy.
Yeah. So that's it for this episode of Lave Radio. If you'd like to get in touch with the show, you can email info@laveradio.com, hit us up at facebook.com/laveradio, tweet us at @laveradio. You can join our Discord server by going to discord.io/laveradio. We have a TeamSpeak server where commanders come to hang out and chat, which you can find at teamspeak.laveradio.com. Do get in touch if you have any questions, or if you'd like to discuss, if there's anything you'd like us to discuss in a future episode. Lave Radio is recorded live on a Tuesday evening at 8:30 and streamed out at laveradio.com/live. So thanks to Mac, thanks to Souverine, thanks to Shan, and special thanks goes to today's tech specialist, Ben. And of course, hello to Chris Mark IV. It'll be your turn soon. Don't worry. Sleep well. Until next time, commanders, fly safe. But if you can't do that, fly dangerous.
Is your life like this?
Sounds like someone having an orange inserted into them. Need a safe word. Space can be done. I'm gonna see the galaxy.
Ah, damn it. No worries, guys. Hold the fort for 2 seconds. I'll be right back.
Galnet News Digest, 20th of October 3306. We read the news so you don't have to. In this week's news roundup, shooting pheasants in the Wedgehead Nebula. Imperials search the haystack. Vincent delay spells trouble for Hudson. Twisting the wheel. Shooting pheasants in the Wedgehead Nebula. At least 4 systems in the Wedgehead Nebula have already been saved from Thargoid infestation, following the Alliance call to arms last Thursday. The rather well-behaved Thargoid invasion fleet has attacked 5 systems: Onoros, Lembas, Haki, Wellington and Shenva. The Alliance initiative is to beat the Thargoids back from these systems, and the Golden Stag megaship in the Onoros system is collecting combat bonds from those participating. With only hours left, at least 4 of the 5 systems will have been saved from ongoing Thargoid infestation. Commanders may be spurred on by the Alliance offer that those commanders who achieve the top 75% of contributions will have Guardian frameshift drive booster technology unlocked, and will have a size 4 frameshift drive booster added to their inventory at the Golden Stag megaship by Saturday the 24th of October. Some members of the Anti-Xeno Initiative, which specialises in anti-Thargoid combat, and which has been at a loose end since July last year, have called for the Thargoids to be encouraged to recolonise the Wedgehead Nebula, out of which they were driven last year. These members of the AXI find themselves temporary allies with the Xenohuggers, such as Holt, who believe there are plenty of meta-alloys for everyone, and there's absolutely no need to go around shooting people just because they have 8 legs, a chitinous exoskeleton, and a berserker approach to warfare. However, the reason the AXI wants the Thargoids to recolonise is rather different from the Xenohuggers. To AXI, it appears, protecting humanity comes second to the sport of shooting Thargoids. They are nurturing the Thargoids in the same way that a gamekeeper nurtures pheasants, all the while polishing their anti-Xeno equivalent of double-barrelled shotguns. In related news, the human technology broker at Bray Landing in Yuanjia is currently offering Thargoid, Guardian and human technology unlocks at a discount, and numerous fleet carriers in the system are selling the tradable goods required for the unlock, including the last remaining meta-alloys. Guardian materials required for some of the unlocks, however, remain frustratingly remote. Imperials search the haystack. The Imperial Internal Security Service is believed to be continuing its investigations into who was behind the terror attacks of 10th of September and the assassination of Prince Harold de Val on the 14th of September. There have been no further terror attacks since then, but other than identifying that Engineer Liz Ryder unwittingly supplied some of the explosive technology to the terrorists, the IISS seems to have made little progress in its investigation. They have, however, increased the lockdown of Marlinist sympathisers to encompass 9 systems, and there seems to be a likelihood that the net might spread even wider. Finding the terrorists among a population which arguably has similar political aspirations to the terrorists is like searching for needles in a haystack. There are reports that, rather than risk arrest and interrogation, many of the pro-Republican Marlinists, who claim they are nothing to do with the terrorists, who call themselves neo-Marlinists, have chosen to leave Empire-controlled space to seek a new life in the Federation. The Empire has demanded that these refugees be returned as potential NMLA criminals, but Federal Ambassador to Semias, Jordan Rochester, has said that he has asked Congress that any Imperial citizens claiming political asylum should be granted that asylum. Prime Minister Edmund Mahon has indicated that the Alliance will also welcome any Marlinist refugees. Vincent delay spells trouble for Hudson. He may or may not have been complicit in the attempted murder of President Jasmina Halsey, and he may or may not have the blood of hundreds of innocent civil servants who died in the sabotage of Starflight 1, but a lengthy delay in bringing Admiral Vincent to trial is likely to spell political disaster for President Hudson. Quite how he managed to avoid being questioned over these crimes back in 3301 is unclear, but the revelation earlier this month that his close friend Admiral Vincent, who did so much to prepare the ground for Hudson to take over from Halsey, appears to be directly implicated in the plot means that until the matter is decided one way or the other in a court of law, the very large finger of suspicion pointing at Hudson is going to make it extremely hard for him to carry out his duties. There appears to be a great deal of cross-party support for Hudson to be impeached, and his popularity rating has never been lower. The way the political system is organised in the Federation, it would be hard to get Hudson to stand down, and while he remains president, he cannot be tried. There are still 2.5 years of Hudson's term remaining, and of course he's not entitled to stand for re-election. Unless Admiral Vincent is exonerated of the crimes he's been accused of, Hudson's remaining 2.5 years as president are likely to be very uncomfortable indeed. Twisting the wheel. The Turning the Wheel initiative, to encourage the mysterious but strangely compliant faction known as the Dark Wheel to establish a presence in Lave, took a wrong turn this week, and they ended up making friends with their new best buddies, the Alliance Rapid Reaction Force, in the ARC system, which is home to Professor Palin and rare good Shan's Charis Orchid. The Dark Wheel have lost no time getting to war with independent Agatavan Labour, and it plans to stomp heavily on the local factions, but it'll work with the Zeonce-based Alliance Rapid Reaction Corps to ensure their continued benevolent domination of the system. The accidental expansion means that it may be many more weeks before the Dark Wheel expands into Lave, and the interdimensional portal that is Raxxla finally opens. And that's this week's Galnet News. Galnet News, we read the news so you don't have to.